Educators Amplified, 1510 AM WRRD. My name is Earl Ingram. I'm going to be part host of this special event.
Good afternoon. I'm Marva Herndon of Women Informed and Schools and Communities United, and my friend here is Gail Hicks.
Hello, everybody. My name is Gail Hicks. I'm a retired special education teacher. I've been retired for 9 years, and I've been working pretty much advocating for the teachers that are still in the classroom for the past 9 years, and it's been really, really an experience.
The topic we want to get to is voucher and charter schools, and the negative impact they both have had on MPS specifically, and the fact that the choice program has been expanded statewide. One of the big things is how it's funded. And MPS has to fund the voucher school students, pretty much. The Milwaukee taxpayers, it's part of your property taxes. The other thing is the performance is not there. The other thing is they leave in the middle of the night. What's worse is that MPS is also required legislatively to pay for yellow busing for voucher students at the same time. With the current budget cut, they're looking at cutting some yellow bus service to our own students. What would you do about that?
Marva, I want to start with this one because this is one of the most important issues that our next governor is going to face. It's one of the most important budgetary issues, and there's a real difference among some of the candidates here. I have stated unequivocally that it is time for the voucher experiment to come to a close. We got to stop experimenting on our kids. All 4 voucher programs. And we're going to do it in a responsible way to make sure that kids are not displaced from their schools, but we are not going to continue pouring money into failed privatization efforts.
Thank you very much. Next person.
I have to jump in here. I have spent the last 9 years kicking out over 30 schools in the voucher program.
But is it true also that you don't have the powers to do very much? Because I work diligently in the community trying to monitor those, and what happens is we've been told by DPI that unless they're screwing up financially in some way, there's not much you can do.
Well, absolutely, but if obviously voucher schools have not performed anywhere above the Milwaukee Public Schools.
So what would you do?
Marva, let me respond.
That's good, thank you. What I would do is we can't afford 2 or 3 publicly funded systems in the state of Wisconsin. We don't.
All right.
We cannot afford that. And second of all, this is an issue of local control. I am against the OSPP. That's all part of this issue, right?
That is correct.
Absolutely. So I'm against that. We need to stop the growth of the voucher system, and either the legislature needs to end it, or we need to make sure that we have funding for the public schools first. That's the bottom line in all this. This is around funding.
Malin?
Well, I'll tell you this. First of all, thank you for your question. And I will tell you this. I believe that public dollars should go to public education. It's that simple. But we have had the voucher program for 26 years. There should never be a time where you have a voucher or a kid leave MPS, go to a voucher school, and the voucher school get that funding, and that child not make it at that voucher school, come back to MPS because they either got kicked out or given to another school, and now this MPS still does not get the funding, but they have to educate that child.
That is correct.
That is correct. So we are pitting ourselves against each other. And that's the root of the problem. The problem is that we are letting those who are fortunate among us take away funding from us, and then we are left worrying about the crumbs on the table or underneath the table. So you have executive directors, you have people that are presidents driving fancy cars and running voucher schools, but actually what's happening, where you have voucher school provisions lifted, where people that are actually going to voucher schools anyway, now those parents can now they were already affording to send their kids to voucher school. Now they're actually getting a subsidized voucher from taxpayers to send their kids to the same school that they are sending.
If you are elected, would you consider a moratorium on opening any of these additional charters and independent vouchers?
I was never in favor of expanding the vouchers outside of Milwaukee. Like I said, vouchers have been in Milwaukee for 26 years. What they have to do, though, and we should not expand it.
There should be a simple rule for government. If a program works, keep it and fund it. If a program doesn't work, get rid of it. And by that standard, we should end taxpayer-subsidized private schooling. We've been trying to fund two separate and parallel systems of education, and we're not doing justice by one, and that does heavily impact our state's biggest city. And we can't be successful as a state if our biggest city struggles. So we have got to stop siphoning resources away from community schools and badly weakening them, and instead we got to accept the fact that this program's been around for 27 years. The promise was that it was going to boost student achievement, and it hasn't. Voucher students don't do any better than public school counterparts, and by some measures they do worse. The promise was that it would drive school improvement. It hasn't done that either. It's siphoned resources away from community schools and badly weakened them. We've got to deal with that reality, so we should end this experiment.
I am for public education. I would immediately freeze the expansion of school choice, put a moratorium on it everywhere throughout the state. Number one. Number two, for the existing schools, I don't really want any charter schools that aren't subject to an elected school board. Number three, these so-called charter and voucher schools that do exist will adhere to the same standards as public schools, or they will not be funded. Period, end of story. And people say they already are. That's baloney. All of these statutes that the Republicans have passed to privatize education in this state, to make it difficult on public schools, will be overturned, and we will we'll establish a new statutory structure. Number four, when it comes to MPS, which is the answer before, my wife and I live less than a mile from here. I'm the only candidate in this race that lives in the city of Milwaukee, and I've been here for 40 years or more, number one. Number two, the Republican Party has really attacked Milwaukee, not just education, for the entire time they've been in. They have cut funding for MPS, cut funding for the city, and their legislators continually attack. They say, if you can't get your crime under control, we're going to cut you some more. People don't understand that there are kids in MPS who are homeless, or come from single-parent households, and they see their mothers drug tested for food stamps and drug tested for Medicaid. Baloney. A Milwaukee governor is going to stand up for Milwaukee and make sure all of this gets put aside and gets rescinded. Not going to happen again. But when it comes to vouchers and charter schools, there are school districts, public school districts get all special ed kids dumped on them because a lot of charter and voucher schools don't take them. Public schools that are near major hospitals, people will move there just for those services. The state has to directly fund, in my view, special education. Directly by the student. We have to budget to the student, not to some business model. And I am full of passion and ideas about this. I'm delighted to be here. But we are going to have a strong recommitment to education and to full funding for the city of Milwaukee when I'm governor.